In a quiet suburban town in Virginia, a wedding celebration turned into a tense standoff when a white neighbor dialed 911, reporting what she perceived as suspicious activity at a nearby home. The police arrived expecting a routine disturbance call, but the situation took an unexpected turn upon discovering that the groom was none other than the town's mayor, a prominent black leader whose identity left complainant frozen in shock, and the officers reevaluating the entire incident. Marcus Thompson had always been a pillar in the community of Willow Creek, Virginia. As the town's mayor for the past 6 years, he had overseen numerous initiatives aimed at fostering unity and economic growth. His election in 2019 marked a historic moment for Willow Creek, making him the first black mayor in the town's 150-year history. Marcus grew up in the area, attending local schools and later earning a degree in public administration from a nearby university. He returned to Willow Creek after a brief stint working in state government, determined to give back to the place that shaped him. Over the years, he built a reputation for fairness, accessibility, and a commitment to addressing racial disparities in housing and education. On the day of his wedding, Marcus was set to marry his longtime partner, Alicia Reynolds, a successful attorney specializing in civil rights law. The couple had chosen to host a ceremony and reception at Marcus's family home, a spacious property on the outskirts of town that had been in his family for generations. The event was planned meticulously, with invitations sent to community leaders, friends, and family members. Local vendors provided catering, and a small band was hired to play music that reflected the couple's heritage. Guests began arriving in the early afternoon, dressed in formal attire, carrying gifts and sharing stories of Marcus's journey, from a local activist to the town's top official. The neighbor in question, Karen Ellis, lived adjacent to the Thompson property. She had moved to Willow Creek a decade earlier from a larger city, seeking a quieter life. Karen worked as a real estate agent and was known in the neighborhood for her involvement in the Homeowners Association, where she often advocated for strict adherence to community guidelines. On that particular Saturday, Karen noticed an unusual number of cars parking along the street near her home. She observed guests milling about, many of whom were black, and heard the sound of laughter and music drifting over from the Thompson yard. Concerned about what she later described as potential overcrowding and noise, Karen decided to call the police non-emergency line. In her call to the dispatcher, Karen reported a large gathering that she believed might be unauthorized. She mentioned the influx of vehicles and expressed worry about possible violations of local ordinances regarding events on residential properties. The dispatcher noted her concerns and assured her that officers would be sent to investigate. 2 patrol cars arrived shortly thereafter, with officers stepping out to assess the situation. They approached the Thompson home, where the wedding was in full swing. Guests were seated in rows of chairs facing an archway adorned with flowers, and Marcus stood at the front, dressed in a tailored suit, awaiting the start of the ceremony. One of the officers, Sergeant David Ramirez, recognized Marcus immediately. Having worked in Willow Creek for over a decade, Sergeant Ramirez had interacted with the mayor on several occasions, including community meetings and public safety briefings. He approached Marcus discreetly, explaining that they had received a complaint about the gathering. Marcus, maintaining his composure, informed the officers that this was his wedding day and that all necessary permits for the event had been obtained to the town's administrative office, which he oversaw. He provided documentation on his phone, showing approval for the outdoor event. Meanwhile, Karen Ellis had stepped outside her home to observe the police response. She stood at the edge of her driveway, arms crossed, expecting the officers to disperse the crowd or issue citations. When Sergeant Ramirez and his partner walked back toward her after speaking with Marcus, Karen began to explain her side of the story. She reiterated her concerns about parking and noise, emphasizing that such gatherings could disrupt the neighborhood's peace. The officers listened patiently before Sergeant Ramirez informed her that the event was legitimate and that the host was Mayor Thompson himself. At the mention of Marcus's name and title, Karen's expression shifted dramatically. She paused mid-sentence, her face paling as the realization set in. She had been aware of the mayor's identity in a general sense, but had not connected him to the property next door. Willow Creek's mayoral residence was separate, and Marcus maintained his family home for personal use. Karen stammered a response, attempting to backtrack on her complaint by saying she hadn't realized the significance of the occasion. The officers advised her that false or unfounded calls could lead to consequences and suggested she communicate directly with neighbors in the future before involving law enforcement. The incident did not derail the wedding. Marcus and Alicia exchanged vows in a heartfelt ceremony, surrounded by loved ones who had witnessed the brief interruption. Guests later recounted how the mayor handled the situation with grace, turning it into a teachable moment about community relations. In the days following the event, news of the call spread through local media outlets. Reporters interviewed attendees and town officials, highlighting the broader implications of such incidents in a diverse community like Willow Creek. Marcus addressed the matter at the next town council meeting, using it as an opportunity to discuss implicit bias and the importance of neighborly dialogue. He emphasized that while everyone has the right to report concerns, assumptions based on race or appearance can harm community trust. Karen Ellis issued a public apology through a letter to the local newspaper, stating that she regretted her actions and had learned from the experience. She committed to participating in diversity training offered by the town. The story gained traction beyond Willow Creek, appearing in national discussions about racial profiling and the weaponization of police calls against people of color. Experts in civil rights pointed to it as an example of how even well-intentioned concerns can stem from unconscious prejudices. Marcus's role as mayor added a layer of irony and impact, showing that no level of achievement shields individuals from such encounters. In the months that followed, Willow Creek implemented new programs aimed at building bridges between residents. Community workshops on cultural awareness were organized, and the police department reviewed its response protocols for disturbance calls. Marcus and Alicia, now happily married, continued their work in public service, using their platform to advocate for equity. Marcus Thompson's path to becoming mayor was not without challenges. Born in 1980 to working-class parents, he experienced firsthand the disparities in education and opportunities available to black families in Willow Creek. His father worked as a mechanic, and his mother was a schoolteacher. Marcus excelled in school, earning scholarships that allowed him to pursue higher education. After graduating, he joined a nonprofit organization focused on voter registration, where he honed his skills in community organizing. His entry into politics came in 2013 when he ran for town council. Campaigning on a platform of inclusive growth, Marcus won by a narrow margin, becoming the first black council member. His tenure was marked by initiatives like affordable housing projects and youth mentorship programs. In 2019, he announced his candidacy for mayor, facing opposition from established figures who questioned his experience. Through grassroots efforts and strong voter turnout, Marcus secured the victory, promising to lead with integrity. Alicia Reynolds met Marcus during a legal aid clinic where she volunteered. Their shared passion for justice sparked a relationship that blossomed over years. Alicia, originally from a neighboring state, brought her expertise in litigation to Willow Creek, opening a practice that served underrepresented clients. The wedding was a culmination of their personal and professional journeys, symbolizing hope for the community. Karen Ellis's background provided context to her actions. Raised in a predominantly white suburb, she had limited exposure to diverse environments before moving to Willow Creek. Her career in real estate involved navigating property laws, which may have influenced her vigilance over neighborhood standards. Following the incident, Karen engaged in self-reflection, attending seminars on racial sensitivity. The police officers involved, Sergeant Ramirez and Officer Lisa Chen, reflected on the call in departmental debriefings. They noted how recognizing the mayor diffused the situation quickly, but acknowledged that similar calls without such recognition could escalate unnecessarily. The department's chief praised their handling and used the case in training sessions. Community reactions varied. Some residents supported Karen, viewing her call as a legitimate concern for safety. Others condemned it as racially motivated, citing patterns of similar incidents nationwide. Town forums saw increased attendance, with discussions leading to policy changes like anonymous reporting guidelines. Marcus's administration saw a surge in volunteerism post-incident. Residents formed neighborhood watch groups focused on inclusion rather than exclusion. Alicia launched a legal workshop series on rights during police interactions. Years later, the story remains a reference point in Willow Creek's history. Marcus served 2 terms as mayor, overseeing economic booms and social reforms. The wedding incident, though brief, left a lasting legacy of awareness and change. Expanding on Marcus's early life, he faced discrimination in school, where teachers overlooked his potential. This fueled his drive to succeed. In college, he majored in political science, interning at the state capitol. His return to Willow Creek was driven by a desire to address systemic issues. Alicia's family history included civil rights activists, inspiring her career. Their engagement was announced at a town event, symbolizing unity. Karen's apology letter detailed her regret and commitment to betterment. She joined a local diversity committee. The wedding itself featured traditional elements, with speeches highlighting Marcus's achievements. Guests included state officials who later commented on the incident. Media coverage included interviews with experts on bias, amplifying the message. In retrospect, the event strengthened community bonds, proving that confrontations can lead to growth.